Hello, I'm Philip Burton of excelinoffice.com, and in this video we're going to have another look at explicit text conversion. So in the previous video we had a look at the fixed function, which allows us to convert a number fairly straightforwardly from numbers to a text. So it allows us to say how many decimals we want, whether we want 1,000 separator. But what if you wanted a bit more flexibility than that? What if you wanted to use custom formatting? So what do I mean by custom formatting? Well, let's take these numbers and put them elsewhere in a different column. Now, if I go to the number over here, you'll see that there is a little arrow I can press, and that will get me into the Format Cells dialog box. Now, I can format these numbers how I want. I can use the 1,000 separator. I can use decimal places as well. So this looks very similar to the fixed formula that I've got. However, I can also use currency. I could use accounting. Difference between currency and accounting is where, for instance, the dollar sign goes. So you can see the number is furthest on the right hand side and the dollar sign is closest to number. Use accounting, and dollar is on the left hand side, and there's a little gap between the number here and the edge. So that's the difference between the two. Now we can also change it to a percentage. We can change it to scientific notation. So scientific notation is when you have this E+. It's not very user-friendly, I would say. But these are just some of the standard formattings you can do. So suppose you wanted it in a particular currency. Well, that's no problem. You could just go to number, currency, and there we are. However, there is no currency function. And I've had to put this dollar sign in front. It's no big deal, to be honest. But what if you want to do one of the more intricate formats? Well, this is when the text function really comes into its own. And I'm just going to take the dollar as an idea of how you can do this. So I'm going to convert this number, which is in K5, into currency. Now, the quickest way to do that is to go to your number and then go down to custom. And you'll see here that we have got a series of codes, and I'll go through these codes very briefly at the end of this video. So if I copy this code and then I go to K5, or the reference to K5, and I say text of K5, and then it's asking me for a format, and the format in quotation marks is the custom formatting that I've just copied. So now it's saying I want K5 to be represented in this format that's used in the custom formatting. And so now you can see it is $2,024.99. So let's move this all the way to the top, and let's put this dollar hashes or pound signs up here into M3, and I'm going to convert it using $3. The dollar is there so that when I copy it down, the 3 remains the same. So it's nothing to do with dollars as in US dollars. It's all to do with what stays the same whenever I copy. And the dollar sign says the next thing stays the same. And I talk a lot more about this in other videos, especially in my course about going from beginner to intermediate, and it's in level 2, section 5. So we have got this as a custom number format. But what gives? I mean, it's just an extra dollar sign. Well, suppose we wanted it to be in red, and it may be in brackets if it's a negative number. Okay, so let's see what the custom is for that. And you can see it's a lot more complicated. Now I'm going to change this number to negative and this number to negative, and you can see currently how it is shown. It's just a negative and then a dollar sign. Now that's something we couldn't have done with our fixed function because we had the dollar sign first and then the number, which would include the negative. So now let's change this to the more complicated version that we've just seen. So you can see that the negative numbers are being shown with a bracket around it as opposed to a minus. So you can see the difference between the two. It just allows for more formatting. Now it's true that it's not actually in red, but that's because the rest of the cell also has a colour as well. Custom formatting can only go so far. Now I said I would go into what all of these symbols mean. Well, the most important symbols are this, which is in some places called a hash sign, other places called a pound sign. I mean, I call that a pound sign, but other places call this a hash or pound sign. And we have the number 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a number. So let's have 45.67, and I'm going to format that number according to whatever formatting we have here. The 0 indicates the presence of a number. So if I put 0.0 or 0.00, then you'll see if I put that as text, so I've got to put a apostrophe before it to say it's text, or I've got to go into this number formatting and say this is text. Now I've said there are going to be two numbers to the left of the decimal and to the right. If I put in an extra 0, then there are going to be 3 zeros, 3 decimal places, 4 decimal places, but I can simply do that to the left. So I can say I need leading zeros. So not often done, but it's possible to have leading zeros. So if we have another number down here, and I similarly format that, then you can see that we still have up to 4 decimal places, no fewer and no more. So we have exactly 4 decimal places. Now, if I change the zeros to question marks, then that leaves space for those zeros, but doesn't display them. So where they are not needed, we just have a space. So if I put a dot at the end, you can see that we've got a little bit of space between the number and the dot, especially if I format this to be in Courier, and therefore each character has the same amount of space. Now the hash or pound sign means that there is a potential for a number. So if I format this hash dot hash, then we have numbers, we have digits at the beginning, 45. We have up to 3 numbers, but we don't need 3 numbers for this first example, so it only puts 2. So that's different than putting 000, where we have to have 3 numbers, regardless of if the last one is 0, that is not needed. Hash makes it optional. And if I was to put them on the left hand side, there'd be no difference in this case because there are no thousands, there are no hundreds. It's optional, so it doesn't choose them. It doesn't display space. If you wanted the space, then you would use question marks instead. And then you've got things which are commas and which are dots. Commas is the thousand separators and dot is the decimal place. And this is true even if you're in a locale which has the other way around. So if you're in a locale where this is a sensible number, $2,039.99, you still have to use a comma for the thousands and a dot for the decimal separator, I'm afraid. So let me put a number 1234.567 and copy this down. You can see at the moment there is no thousand separator. If I was to put a thousand separator in, then it would add it. And this thousand separator works for millions and billions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see that we have a millions separator and a thousand separator. We only have to put it in the once. So hopefully with this video, you're able to read all of these custom formattings. It does get a bit more complicated when we get into semicolons, but please have a look at my courses where I talk about this at some length and give you PDFs of all of the various options. But there are a lot of things you can do. I mean, you can add a $sign, which I did, or you can insert your text within speech marks, all sorts of things. It gets really interesting when we get into later things, and it will allow you to save time if you wanted to say all of your negative numbers to being red. That is possible using custom formatting. So here's my custom formatting, and you can see the negative numbers are in red. So thank you very much for watching this. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please click the like button on this video. It's important to me how this video is going, whether you want more of them. If you do want more of these videos, please click on the subscribe and then press the bell next to the subscribe button. That allows you to get notifications of future videos. Well, thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you on the next video.